Okay, so teams that will surprise in the playoffs. This is kind of a topic that I was thinking of today when I was making all the topics. And I was thinking, there are teams that are kind of starting to heat up that were not great early in the year, but they're starting to heat up right now. And so maybe, just maybe, they could upset a few teams. Like, for example, the Giants last year, upset the Vikings in the playoffs. The Giants were a 6 seed. So I'm just thinking, who are some bottom seed teams that are going to do really well in the playoffs that we're overlooking. So I have to start here. Let me get it real quick. So teams that you don't want to play in the playoffs. Now I know the Lions are not, and this kind of pertains to the 49ers as well. Teams that the 49ers do not want to play in the playoffs as well. So I want to start with the Lions. They're not an underrated team, but I kind of, after watching them beat the Vikings and kind of just have gathered information, I just want to quickly throw them in there. They have a good O-line, and we know that. They're figuring out the run game a little bit more. Early in the season, Jahmyr Gibbs, one thing I've noticed, because I do play fantasy, and I had Jahmyr Gibbs. Early in the season, Jahmyr Gibbs, not great, not getting a ton of touches, not a ton of work, and I think they were figuring out ways how to use him. But now you're seeing Jahmyr Gibbs get 15 carries per game and Montgomery 15 carries per game. They're truly splitting the carries between those two backs. But both of those backs are very talented backs. And so they're really starting to figure out, okay, how do we give the ball to our most explosive player, David Montgomery, and our most explosive player, Jahmyr Gibbs, and our power back, David Montgomery? How do we split carries? Because earlier in the year, they were just giving a lot of the carries to David Montgomery, but they started realizing, I think, that Jahmyr Gibbs is just too talented of a player not to give carries to. So they're figuring out how to use those two running backs. They're figuring out the run game. I think Goff, a lot of the reason why 49ers fans aren't afraid of the Lions in the playoffs is Jared Goff. And I agree. We've done historically very well against him, but I also think Goff has matured over the years. I think he is a lot different of a quarterback with the Lions than he was with the Rams. And the reason why I say that, I think there are things that he used to really struggle against with the Rams. He struggled to read the field with the Rams. He struggled, and that's why he threw a lot of picks. I think he's just become a lot more mature of a QB. And so I think the Niners, you have to take the line seriously because they have receivers, they have a good O-line, they have one of the best offenses in the league. And yes, their defense isn't great, but their defense also, if there's anything the last few weeks has taught me, their defense also is a very they make stops at the right time. They're a good defense in the clutch. And in key moments, they're good. For example, last week, 4 interceptions. Now, yes, they were playing Nick Mullins. That's not great. But I think the Lions defense, they're opportunistic. Like last week, they had 4 interceptions. And yes, it was versus Nick Mullins. But if you're an undisciplined defense, you're not taking the ball away a lot because you're not able to capitalize on the offense's mistakes. So what the 4 interceptions that the defense forced last week off of the Vikings is, I think that the Lions defense doesn't necessarily have talent, but the Lions defense is they're very opportunistic, but they also know they can take the ball away in key. They're very how do I put it? I'm just trying to think of the word. They're very when the offense makes a mistake, they capitalize on it. They don't see the offense make a mistake and they don't screw up themselves. I guess that's the best way I think I can put it. But so yeah, that's a team that was kind of long-winded. I'm trying to go fast here. Rams, very good team. I mentioned them before. They can run the ball. Kyren Williams has over 1,000 yards. Stafford, when healthy, is amazing. I was watching the QB school, and he was breaking down Stafford's performance from Thursday night against the Saints. And I mean, Stafford one of these throws, I mean, he's rolling right and he just makes a sidearm beauty, fits it right perfectly in the tight window of this Rams receiver. And this Rams receiver is all covered up. It's amazing. So Stafford, when healthy, a top 5 arm talent in the league, and he is healthy. I mean, the defense isn't great, but their offense can hang with anyone. And I think they're starting to show that. They can run the ball. They have great receivers. In Tutu Atwell, I believe is still, I don't know if he got injured, but they have Cooper Kupp, obviously, and then they have oh my gosh, the really good rookie receiver. Oh my gosh, I can't believe I forgot this name. Puka Nacua. They have him as well. So they have a lot of talent. Offensive line isn't as great, but hey, if you have a good enough game plan against a certain team, you can beat anyone. So I think they are a team to watch out for, the Rams. They're the hottest team in the league. And the defense, yes, the defense doesn't have talent. Yes, the defense isn't great for the Rams, but they are very disciplined. They are very disciplined. They don't make a lot of penalties. They don't make a lot of mistakes, the Rams defense, as far as like blown coverages or anything. Last week, or against the Ravens a few weeks ago, they allowed 5 penalties, but only for 34 yards. The week before, last week, it was only 5 penalties. No. The week before last week, only 5 penalties, but not, I believe that was for 32 yards. So just not huge penalties. And then last week they had 3 penalties for whatever it was. So they're not really committing a lot of penalties, and not only are they not committing a lot of penalties, but they're also just, the penalties aren't super crucial penalties. They're not for a lot of yards. It's not for a lot of yards. So disciplined defense as well. Next team, the Browns. I want to quickly shout them out because the Browns could get this 5th or 6th seed or 7th seed, whatever it is. But what's so impressive about them is they are playing well without a elite quarterback. Joe Flacco was clutch, but he also threw 2 interceptions. But they're the type of defense, their defense is so good that it doesn't matter what their quarterback does, they're still going to win because their defense is going to get takeaways as well. And so, I mean, even if Joe Flacco even plays all right, they're still going to make it very far because their defense just covers up so many mistakes on the offensive side of the ball. So the Browns are definitely 100% a team that can do some damage in the playoffs. And then I mentioned earlier the Bills. The Bills haven't lost. They've won 3 straight. They haven't lost in 4 weeks. And I think the big thing with the Bills, and I think every Bills fan can agree with me, and everyone that has eyeballs and doesn't live under a rock can agree with me. The reason why the Bills have won the last 3 games is because they are running the ball. That's the only reason why. And that's why they fired Ken Dorsey, because they weren't running it enough, and it's showing. They are running. I wrote in caps right here. They're running, all caps, running the ball. You can see how bad my writing is. My writing is terrible, but they're running the ball. Last week, James Cook, or I believe that's his name, 20 attempts, 70 yards. It's only a 3.5 yard average, but it now makes teams respect the run game, which opens up the pass game and takes less pressure off of Josh Allen. And it also lets the Bills control the clock a little bit more. So, wow. I mean, they definitely have turned it around as far as the run game. The week before that, 25 attempts versus the Cowboys. Ran it down their throat. So they're starting to run the ball. And I feel like with them running the ball, they kind of have a similar, now they're starting to get a similar system as the Ravens. They have the Bills have a running quarterback in Josh Allen, and the Ravens have a running quarterback in Lamar Jackson. So now what the Bills are now starting to do is now they can start to play off the run. They can do RPO. You know, now that teams are maybe starting to respect the run game a little bit more, the Bills can maybe fake it with Josh Allen and run it with Josh Allen, or they can fake it and they can throw it, or they can just run the ball. So it opens up a lot more things. And the Bills offense, more and more as weeks go by, is starting to become a little bit more like the Ravens offense of just playing the run game through just having a really good mobile quarterback and also a really good passing quarterback. So if they can really get the run game down, I think the Bills could be a underrated contender for the Super Bowl. I look at these teams and I look at the Browns and I'm like, yeah, they could win in the first round, but they're not going to make the Super Bowl. I look at the Rams, yeah, they can win in this first round, but they're not going to make the Super Bowl. I look at the Lions, they might make the Super Bowl, but I legitimately look at the Bills and say, yeah, they don't have a great defense, but they can now run the ball, and that's all they need to make the Super Bowl. So, yeah, I think they're going to be a really good team. I definitely think they're going to make it past the first round, because if they get this 5th or 6th seed, they're probably playing either the Jaguars or the Texans or really the Colts, anyone from the AFC South. And I think they could beat any one of those teams. And then they also, I mean, or they're playing the Chiefs, who, I don't know. I mean, yes, it's an Arrowhead, but I want to see a Josh Allen, Patrick Mahomes rematch. I really want to see that, because I feel like the Bills will get their revenge. The Bills will get their revenge. So yeah, I'm gonna answer a few more comments and get the heck out of here. I cannot believe I have been talking for an hour and 5 minutes. That is partly in thanks to all the great comments in the comment section. If you guys are watching on Twitter, go over to YouTube, and you don't have to stop watching on Twitter, but giving a like would be really, really, really nice. And then also New Year's Eve, I'll be dropping kind of what my t-shirts are going to look like, some sneak peeks to kind of the site and stuff like that. So that should be really cool. And then obviously t-shirts and the site will be coming out later in the year, later in 2024. But my whole thing is I need to get my watch time hours to 3,000 watch time hours. I'm at 1,500 right now. Over the next 365 days, I need to get it to 3,000, and I'm getting closer. But once I do that, I can start to advertise my site, my online site, and my t-shirts below videos. You can have a shop below your videos where people can see all your products that you make. And so that's basically, you can kind of advertise a little bit more your products that you make. And so that's why I'm starting to think about making t-shirts, and I'm starting to kind of, and so my point is, if you guys have any friends that haven't heard about me, just and like football,